Let's have a beautiful experience. In this video, we're going to be talking about why heavy weightlifting and high intensity cardio might actually be harming your natural testosterone gains. It's a beautiful thing. You gotta love it. All right, before we get started here, please do me a huge favor. Please follow me, on my social media, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, and, I go by Jesus_Detroit on Instagram. Snapchat, I go by Young Dago. And, in this video, I really want to get into the reason of helping you naturally raise your testosterone. This is what, I'm about. I'm about making people be their best versions. And I have, a lot of secret, techniques and beliefs that can actually help you raise your testosterone. But out there, you got these, a whole bunch of different schools of, should you lift heavy weights? Should you run a lot? All these other types of ways of, raising your natural testosterone. And I just want to say that, for one, if you never go to the gym and you don't exercise, anything and everything will work. So go ahead and write that down if you are following my channel. Anything and anything will work. You just got to believe in what you're doing, because the bottom line is, if you never touched a weight, if you never ran on a treadmill or, Stairmaster, elliptical, any of that stuff, you're going to be getting benefits because you're doing something outside of your norm. And this is where, benefits and, progress and gains and helping you be your best version will, change is going to come. It's just the way it works. So what I'm just trying to get into is heavy weightlifting is something that's constantly preached by, whatever guru, whatever diet guy. They'll always say, you gotta lift heavy weights if you want to raise your testosterone. And, your body's got to be in repair mode and this, that, and the other. And, you're talking to a guy that's done the heavy weight game. And I've actually, made more gains by not using heavy weights. Now, what is heavy weight is the real question, because what's heavy for me might not be heavy for you, and what's heavy for you might not be heavy for me. The bottom line is your body has to, just have that pump and explode. And some people, they find it from, going real heavy and, you get the results real quick. But the problem is, man, you're playing with dynamite, man. If you lift heavy, you're asking yourself for, injuries. It's just the way of the game, man. All it takes is 1 second, one misjudgment, and there you go. You throw yourself out, and you're out of going to the gym for 3 to 6 months just because you wanted to get a PR. You know what I mean? And this. What it comes down to is this: nobody cares about how much you can lat pull down. All right, like you can rack the thing 30 times or 50 times. You got straps on your wrist. Who cares? If you can, arm curl, 300 pounds. Speaking of which, you got professional bodybuilders. I don't know if you ever seen Calvin Monger, stunts, and he plays Arnold Schwarzenegger in one of those, the Joe Weider movie, which is actually a beautiful, it's a meathead movie, but, it's something worth watching if you want to just, really understand the game of Joe Weider, which is a beautiful story. But anyways, you're talking to a guy that is a professional bodybuilder, and he's in the gym, and even him, he's got his, his buddy, and they're trying to arm curl some ridiculous amount of weight, 400 pounds between two guys, and boom, tore his bicep. He's got a whole movie on Netflix. You can see how, never broken, he came back, and, that's a guy that has, accessibility to being able to recover, man, and that's what this all comes down to, man. Do you really want to spend, your time in recovery mode, or do you want to, spent time growing and actually raising testosterone, because that's what this all is about, man. I want you to be able to, there's no shortcut in this, man. It's about being able to come in and day out and actually be able to put in the work and actually raise your testosterone naturally, because it doesn't matter about how much you can lift. And, going back to it, like, the presses are the ones for the impressing. Press is impress. And who you're impressing, opinions vary. If you can bench press a lot, if you can squat a lot, if you can military a lot, like, those are your, and then deadlifts and all that, those are your ego lifts. Now, is it necessary to go heavy on those? I don't think so. I just feel like the motion of those exercises is definitely key into helping you, achieve, bigger muscles and raising testosterone. But you don't need to squat 300 pounds, throw that on your back, and go ahead and ride the lightning with that. You don't need to do that. Just that motion of really squatting down and, getting into your groin and getting into your balls, swinging and hanging and all that good stuff. That's where you're naturally raising your testosterone. That's where you're making the growth occur. And, a lot of people that do heavy squats, I preach this a lot, they'll tell you that when they put that heavy amount of weight on their back, their penis actually goes inward. And to me, that's counterproductive. You're going to make it like a turtle when you're trying to have, at least me, you want to have the biggest, biggest piece of meat swinging between your legs that you can have. And that to me is counterproductive. But what it really comes down to is, when you're lifting heavy weight, it's very easy, to make a mistake. And there's no room for error when you're trying to become your best version. And that's why I really want everybody to more focus on the pump, the mind and muscle connection. And that's where you're going to be making your gains. That's where you're going to be raising your testosterone, because it really doesn't matter about how much you can lift, man. Like I said, who are you impressing? Who are these PRs for? Who are you doing this so you can tell somebody you lift a lot? Or do you want to have the body that looks like it lifts a lot, that's healthy, that's producing a lot of testosterone, that's just the God that you're designed to be? Because we are all gods. You're a beautiful person. I believe in everything that you can do. If you choose to lift heavy weight, that's a beautiful thing, man. I have nothing against it, but this information is really for people that, aren't so gym savvy. And then maybe for people that, been going hard at it, man, for years, and they're having all these issues happen, man, because, I was the same type of guy, man. I would go in the gym, want to load up that bench press, go as heavy as we can, and just ride that lightning and really just feel it. And it's, I'll tell you what, it's a hell of a feeling to, move, 300-400 pounds off your chest. But it ain't gonna mean nothing when you're not gonna, when you make one mistake and you're out of the game for 3 to 6 months. Because that happened to me. I was, fresh out of high school somewhere, and I remember I'm at the gym. I loaded up the incline bench, and it wasn't even my heaviest weight, but I just went under there, and I went to move it up, and that's all it took. Boom, some type of shoulder injury, and I was out of the game for 3 to 6 months. I remember I came back into the gym the next day or the next week, because that's how chest day works, 1 day a week split or whatever. And I remember I went to go lift, and I couldn't lift. It was like, what's going on here? And that was one of my first wake-up calls. It took me a long time to really understand that you don't have to lift heavy, man. I came from the whole, the ego game of wanting to make the gains, man, wanting to lift the heavy weight to make, to make you grow. And, I learned along the way that's definitely counterproductive, because what does it mean when you're out of the game for, 3 to 6 months, man? I had to learn how to, swim. And that's one of the things that really helped me out in that particular time. I was fortunate enough to go to a gym with a pool, and I just started swimming every day just to really help my rotator cuff. And that to me was one of the reasons of why I was able to recover. But man, it took some time, and this is the type of stuff that you do not want to waste when you're just starting out. And if you're somebody that's been in the game for a while lifting weights, man, you're better off chilling. You're better off just, because it's like I still have it in me where I want to be able to lift those heavy weights and have a heavyweight day. And sure enough, maybe I'll incorporate that in the future, but in a smarter way. Just being able to do it like, once in a while. Because when you're doing it in, week after week, day after day, you are just, you're playing with lightning, man. You're playing with fire, and you're just asking to get burned, man. And for everybody out there, everybody's got different abilities and different techniques and beliefs of what you can and cannot achieve. And I'm just saying from my personal experience and what I know that, doing the heavy squats is something that's a no-go, and doing like super heavy bench pressing is not necessary for me to, build up my chest. And I've actually built a better chest with going lighter, man, and believe it or not, because it's not so much how much you bench that's going to build that chest. It's about the other exercises, the flies and the cable crossovers and the mind and muscle connection that's actually building the muscle, which comes up to another beautiful thing by, Paramahansa Yoganada, which is, the person that brought yoga to the West. A lot of people preach this book. Steve Jobs, this was the only book he ever had in his iPad. So that tells you a lot. There's a lot to be said there. And, the other gurus and guides out there, shouts out to Aaron Doughty, really preaches this book. I always listen to his podcast. And, when you hear that the mind is the wielder of muscle, that is deep, man, and it resonates highly with inside me. And I really believe that you're the one that's going to make yourself grow. You're the one that's going to tell you, how your muscle's going to look. Because a lot of people that fall into these, this heavyweight game, and I was one of them, all you're doing is essentially just making a thicker version of what you had. Like if you don't have the, the ripped muscles, the bowling ball cap shoulders, the deep pecs, you're going to go in there and lift heavy, and you're just going to be a thicker version of what you started with. And that's, if that's your goal, that's fine. But to me, it's like, you got to change the whole shape of your muscles. And some people are just naturally blessed with their muscles and the proper definition to just grow like that. And what I could say is, like, just think about people that have big calves. Like, it's not like they're training them every day to have, these huge calves. And just like people that have, defined abs, and, some of us, you're going to have to go in the gym. You're going to have to go within, inside that mind, man. And you're going to have to develop it with your head, with your mind. You're the one that's got to say, all right, I want my pecs up here. I want my shoulders like this. I want to have my abs like that. I want to have the bricks. You know what I mean? You're the one that's got to develop that, because you might say that, yeah, abs are made in the kitchen and your diet, this and that. That's only part of it. But if you've never seen what you got, you're going to have to develop it to see it, man. You got to believe it to see it. So in here, you got to have your vision, and then you got to be able to, start focusing when you're at the gym, which is why, like, when I go work out, I have, I always set the intention of whatever I'm working out that day. Like if I'm working out my chest, I want to focus on my whole chest, man. I want to get the upper pec shelf. When I'm doing my abs, I want to make sure I'm getting all the lines, sculpted and carved in. When I'm doing my shoulders, I want to make sure that I'm, making them rounder and making the, the bowling ball caps pop out, because that's really what it's all about, is your mind changing the shape of your muscle, man. And, that's why, like, I do something where I incorporate pre-exhausted workouts. And I find this to be the most beneficial way of actually, tiring out your muscle, stressing it out in a proper way where you're not going to have to worry about injury. I do like, before I even do anything, I'll do my cardio for about, I do like 40 minutes, and then I'll do like an hour and a half of yoga and stretching and really working on my splits. And does anybody have to do this? Absolutely not. You don't have to go that long for cardio. And, that's a whole nother topic I want to get into in a little bit, about why, certain guys will tell you, like, yeah, you don't need to do, if you're doing too much cardio, that can actually raise cortisol. It's like, look, let me tell you this. If you don't see your abs and you don't really, if you're not working with a shovel every day or a chainsaw or have a real physical job, everybody out there could use more cardio. And that's just the way it is, man. I know that might hurt somebody's feelings, and I'm here to just lay it down. But the bottom line is all truths are true. And one of the ones that I find in me is everybody can afford to go get on that treadmill and ride the Lightning, or get on the Stairmaster, get on the elliptical. I don't even use a treadmill, by the way. I run barefoot with my animals outside, and I'll do like 6 miles, and I'll end up still going to the gym and wanting to do that, getting on the Stairmaster, because I believe that you got to have that cardiovascular, respiratory activation if you want to have proper blood flow, if you really want to have your skin glow, you want to have, your balls and testicles grow and your penis grow. Like, it's all comes down to flow, man, and you got to be able to get that moving. And dude, when you're lifting weights, man, you're not getting the respiratory going and the blood flowing like you will when you're riding, 40 minutes on, a bike or a Stairmaster or whatever, man, because that's, more beneficial. So this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about pre-exhausted workouts. Now, a pre-exhaustive workout is exactly like what I'm saying. You start with cardio, and I do all my workouts fasted, and that's something that I like. I intermittent fast daily. I go to the gym at the end of the day, and I like to, just get my cardio in, my yoga in, and then at the end, then I'll touch the weights. I feel like you got to do everything else that's more important and put the weights to the end. Because honestly, lifting weights is like the prize, And if you're putting that like in the beginning of the day, or where, everybody's day is different, but if you're putting that like where it's the main thing of your workout, you're going to end up skipping the stuff that you really need, like doing your core, doing your, and getting the cardio in, because that in the end is where longevity comes from. It's what's going to help you be a better person. It's what's going to keep you around, and it's what's going to keep you able to go inside the gym day in and day out and be able to just, enjoy being alive, man. Because like I said, there's no prize about being able to, there's no award for the gym, you know what I mean? And the only award is being able to come, and Jerry Seinfeld even has a joke about it. He goes, I look at people that go to the gym, they're already in shape. You won. You don't need to be here. Go home. It's like, looking for somebody that doesn't go to the gym and understand that going to the gym's the prize, all right? So looking good is just a side effect, and, that's part of the game of the gains and being able to get in there day in and day out, man. You're going to have results, and you're going to want to go, man. It's just what makes you feel right at the end of the day, man, because you just like, especially with cardio, man, it just puts you in that zone where that you're dedicating a certain amount of time, and I'd say that anybody that, certain people have different abilities, but I'd say you want to at least do 20 minutes, and if you ain't sweating within 7 minutes, crank up the intensity. That's my that's my tip for you. If you're within 7 minutes, if you're not starting to feel the beads going, crank up your intensity, and then you'll know for next time what you got to do on that machine and how you got to get yourself sweating. Because to me, if you ain't sweating, you ain't doing it right, and if you're doing cardio for 20 minutes, you're definitely going to start sweating. It's just, law of nature, unless you're not doing it properly and you're just talking on your phone and you're watching, Wendy Williams or whatever's on the TV, or, I guess it's Jerry O'Connell at this time, whatever, But bottom line is, you better make sure that you're sweating within 7. And, I'm in a place that we get those winter cold weather, like below 0, man. And, unfortunately, you're going to have to stay on the machine an extra 10 minutes in the winter. I know you don't want to hear that, but does that mean you have to go 10 minutes less in the summer? No. you have to go 10 minutes longer in the winter. This is just my mentality, because you got to warm up the body, man. It's like you got to warm up your car before you go to the gym, and then you got to warm up yourself at the gym. And it's dark and it's cold and it's the winter, and it's a beautiful thing. You're going to have to spend more time inside the gym. It's just the way it works, man. You're going to remember that this winter, you know, or whatever time it is, unless you're fortunate enough to live somewhere where the sun's always shining and the weather's always right and hot, you know, you're going to have to get on that machine and go an extra 10 minutes. So anyways, back to what I'm saying here. And it's about being pre-exhausted with the workouts. You know, it's about, you know, sweating before you even lift the weights. And you're going to definitely notice a huge game changer when it comes to how you feel. You know, because you're not going to have to just go straight into the gym and, you know, do some Mickey Mouse 10-minute warm-up and then like some 5-second stretch and then hit a bench press. To me, that's no good. You're just setting yourself up for injury. And I'm not saying that everybody does this, but I came from that, you know, the game of being in the ego lifting and wanting to really bench press a lot and not worried about cardio. And cardio takes away from your gains, bro. And yeah, it raises your cortisol. And I'm telling you, man, cardio is the king of all exercises. It's the most important. Everybody out there could use more cardio. And, you know, you got people that will tell you, you got to do, you know, it's not about cardio, you know, going hour after hour, you know, because if you do that, you're going to raise cortisol, and people that run marathons aren't having, you know, they don't have the proper testosterone. And it's like, you know, let me tell you something. People that run marathons, like the real, you know, the real bad dudes out there and bad females and just people that are just, you know, badass, those guys, you know, they have high testosterone, all right? This is like their body's acclimated to, you know, putting it under the stress. Speaking of badasses, you had that one, I heard on the London Reel, there was this Navy SEAL that talked about how every day he was like broken down in boot camp and he was running on broken feet. And he just told himself, this is our new normal. This is our new normal. And essentially that's what you're doing by going to the gym anyways. Like that becomes your new normal. You acclimate to whatever stress that you're throwing at it, man. So if you're doing, you know, cardio every day, you're going to have to kick it up some ways, man. It's just the way it is, which is why sometimes, you know, if you look at professional, you know, bodybuilders and they really want to cut, they're doing 2-a-day cardio. You know what I mean? But for people that are just starting in the game, remember, anything and everything will work. So don't worry about, you know, doing the heavy weight, doing the, you know, high intensity cardio and all this and that. I mean, that's just going to just be confusion, man. Just start simple. Keep it easy. You know, do 15 minutes, do 20 minutes on a machine. You know, ellipticals and Stairmasters are definitely one of the best ones where it doesn't hurt your knees too much, and figure out what's getting you the beads of sweat dripping within 7. And, you know, after that, you know, what I would say is start stretching, you know, because stretching to me after cardio is the best time to do it. Like it's when you're, you know, the blood flows and everything in you is just loose and just ready to be stretched out. You know, when you go in there after a day of sitting down for X amount of hours, you just woke up, you don't get as good of a stretch as you will when you're done doing cardio. It's just what I notice, and it's, you know, it's just the way that it is. So after cardio, I recommend stretching. You know, if you really want to get into it, man, yoga is definitely something that can be beneficial to the mind and the body, you know, because what good is, you know, working out if your mind ain't right, your spirit ain't right, and your body ain't right, man. You got to have it all connected. That's where yoga really helps you become your best version, man, because you're focused on breathing, putting yourself in positions where, you know, you're just, you know, just a little bit, you know, light stress for a little bit, and, you know, it's just being able to get through it and move to the next position. And then you work on other types of stretches, and that to me is more important and beneficial than any type of weight that you're going to lift, man, because you want to be able to keep going in day after day, be able to have, you know, ability, man, being able to just, you know, be the best person you can become. So Now we'll talk a little bit on the high intensity cardio. That's like for people that it's basically like they say, yeah, you look at sprinters and long distance runners, yada, yada, yada. You know, people that are sprinting in the Olympics are two different people than the marathon runners. Do not compare yourself to these two people, all right? You're not a marathon runner. You're not the sprinter. And that's not what you need to even think about if you're trying to build muscle, all right? Bottom line is you got to do cardio, okay? And if you think that you can actually ride the lightning of doing some high intensity, burpee circuit or whatever, where you just run real hard for a couple minutes and then you go back off and you do that for like 20 minutes and it's supposed to be more beneficial and raise testosterone. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but for somebody that's a beginner, I'd say that's a huge mistake. And you're just asking yourself for injury. You know what I mean? You're gonna get on some one of those special treadmills, and then you're just gonna go hard at it for like 2 seconds or whatever. It takes one slip, you pull something in your knee, you pull whatever, and like then you're not able to run, right? So what good is that? And that's what it comes down to with these high intensity workouts. But if you're somebody that's cardio in shape and you want to try some stuff out, I mean, I'd say that's actually beneficial, but I feel like you still got to warm up, man. You still got to get everything loose before you want to just drop the gear down and pop that clutch and just just go as hard as you can, man, because that's it could be very counterproductive and dangerous is all I'm saying. And most of you guys that are doing high intensity cardio, you're probably not doing it right anyways, because it's easy to think that you're doing it right because, you got your breath going. But dude, you need to be on a treadmill for 20 minutes just so you have the consistency of calories that are being burnt over time. Because that's what it comes down to, is the consistency. You are dedicating yourself 20 minutes to constant movement. Not just this like spike and then chill, spike and then chill, spike and no. There's a lot of room for error in that is all I'm saying. You can end up doing like, like I said, you might think that you got to work out because you sweated hard in 5 minutes, but turns out that, it's just like you feel like you got enough, but realistically you didn't, is all I'm saying. So it's easy to think that you achieved a lot with high intensity cardio, and realistically you didn't. When you set a given time, especially on a Stairmaster to me, that is the king of all machines in the gym. It's not everybody's got the ability to balance it out and ride it out, but eventually get to that, man, because the thing about a Stairmaster is it's one of the only machines that you got to keep up with, so you're going to have to stay consistent with it. So think about that. You got to actually ride what that thing's providing. And when you do like an elliptical, you can set resistance. And then the treadmill, is the same way. But again, I don't use it because I don't like the way that it feels on the knees and all that. And maybe it's something I can incorporate later. But like I said, the Stairmaster, you got to follow the, you got to follow its lead. And that's something that, to me, is quite beneficial. It's making you have to give, your best. It's making you have to follow it. It's putting you under that stress. And by the time you get off of it, you know that you got a real workout. You know that it wasn't just, going on the cardio equipment and watching whatever was on the TV for the time being and playing on your phone, man. This is about riding the lightning and stripping sweat and making progress, man. It's about making them gains and, being your best version and, burning the fat and building the muscle, man. Because again, the mind is the wielder of muscle. So always go within, always know that you can, always believe in who you are. I am a coach. I got the Big Cock Collective, where I teach people how to naturally raise their testosterone, naturally raise their human growth hormone, and how to make your penis bigger, wider, thicker, longer, stronger, and harder. Because I'm all about growth. Make sure you guys follow me on my social media. And just one more thing, that if you can take anything away from this, if you're new to the gym, just remember, anything and everything will work. You guys are beautiful. And just really understand that it's about longevity, being able to come in, day after day. Don't worry about trying to hurt yourself. Just be your best version, be your best you. I love you guys.